Good day, and welcome to another episode of AgentX11 Hollywood Dark Journalist. Another light in this darkened world. I am your host, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. My co-hosts are David Zublik, Heather Day, Joan Renee, Chris Montgomery, Skip Press, Tom Althouse, Jessica Garza, Edward Medallion, Dr. Keith Abloh, and TJ Ward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist begins now. And welcome to another episode of Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd, and I am Agent X11. I'm excited for this show. It's going to be fabulous. I am joined by my co-host, Joan Renee, and Jen. Did you just call yourself Jen the Nerd?
Or Jen.
Just Jen. Or just Jen. Because I guess we're all kind of nerds in this room. And then we have this is Brian Singh Presents. This is a segment of Agent X11, Brian Singh Presents, but it is also Dr. Yu's Universe, and with Dr. Weeping Yu and with Steven Sanchez. Good evening and good day to everyone. How are you all doing? Everyone's nodding. We're doing good. We're doing good. I'm excited about this because Steven Sanchez has some wonderful news that he's going to talk about. He did 3 podcasts that were each like 4 hours long about something that's going to change the face of quantum mechanics. But I worked on a new intro, so I'm going to play that.
Woo, ooh, it's Dr. Yu. Woo, ooh, it's Dr. Yu. Woo, ooh, it's Dr. Yu. Dr. Yu's Universe. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Woo. Zoom through the void where dreams collide. Galaxies spin on a cosmic ride. No up, no down, no left, no right. Dr. Yu's got stars in sight. We welcome you to Dr. Yu's Universe. Where planets sing and comets dance. Get ready to shout. What? Ooh, it's Dr. You. Ooh, it's Dr. You. Yeah. Ooh, it's Dr. You. Dr. U's universe. Yeah, yeah. Nothing is what you thought you'd find. Get ready to adjust your mind. Forget all that you have read. Get maximum room, make space in your head. Welcome to Dr. Universe, where time does not exist. Listen to Dr. You. He's phoning in from Earth number 2. Yeah, he's calling from the cosmos just for you. It's Dr. You. It's Dr. You. It's Dr. You. Dr. U's universe.
This is Dr. U's universe, and we're all in. So, Steven Sanchez, you have some news.
Yes. Wow. Where to start? Because it was a amazing podcast, and I'm actually humbled that I was with people of that caliber, that prowess in quantum physics, high-end mathematics, and white paper monsters that if you don't you might say write and document your stuff. That's what do you do? So, at any rate, okay. What we did was Marco's been trying to, you might say, educate people on vortex-based mathematics, which basically is toroidal math. He's taking what you call the name of God and the Baha'i faith and deduced it down to numbers. And when he deduced it down to numbers, it made a number map, almost kind of like a Sudoku game. And then he realized that these numbers were repeating. And he found out, well, if they repeat, maybe they can run into each other. So when he started doing that, it turned into a tube, which ended up turning up a torus. So basically, Mod 9 mathematics maps out the surface of a toroid. So, and then there's all kinds of implications of this stuff, and I highly encourage people to go to YouTube and look up Marco Rodin and to look at that stuff, because a lot of the what you say alternative sciences and free energy and all that stuff use a lot of Marco's mathematics. So what happened was he's got these two individuals. I think they're from Ireland, and then Greg Vogt. Usually as a guest speaker and the MC at the Tesla Tech conventions. These individuals, we all were on a podcast. Now, what they were doing is Marco wanted to take it to another step. He wanted to see if his mathematics have implications in quantum physics and in quantum field theory. So these two individuals, and I wish I would have wrote their names down, but they got involved and used a real high level of ChatGPT, which is used in the, you might say, academia. I think I wrote it down. It's called ChatGPT 5 Pro. So it's a really expensive, you might say, subscription-based program. So these guys can crunch big numbers, guys that work at CERN and, big technological things at universities and stuff. So what the question was, they wanted to know if the actual surface topology had anything to do with implications in quantum theory. So these individuals got together. Now there's different forms of how he did his math. There's mod 9 and mod 7 and mod 5. And if anybody doesn't know what that means, well, like a mod 9 system, there's no zeros. There's only 1 through 9. Yet it's like base 2 or base 12. You got to have different ways to calculate the math. And not only that, the mod 9 system and Marco's stuff goes in the positive direction and the negative direction. So what they did is they figured out, how could we do this application of physics? Is it possible that physics can satisfy a situation if it's on a grid? So what they did is they nested these patterns on top of each other. So I'll give you an example. Like a Sudoku's got 9 squares. What if those were like cubes, and then I got another set of 9 below it and another sign below it? So I would actually, on a topology, could make a solid, if you will. So these guys went into Chat GPT with all this information about wanting to know what the implications of the Rodin formula and the Rodin grid had any type of space-time stuff that they should observe. So they used the Klein-Gordon equation and the Dirac solution, and lo and behold, ChatGPT just spit out a whole bunch of stuff saying this thing's got to do with propulsion, it's got to do with time-based stuff, it's got to do with gravitational physics, on and on and on. It spit all this stuff out. So by the time the third day came around, it was very clear to these physicists and mathematicians and Greg Volt himself, they're in the process of writing a white paper on this, because it's just opened the door. I mean, yeah, it's pretty heavy duty. So later I'll obviously get you guys a copy of it, because I'm not classically trained in really high end calculus or anything like that, but Dr. Yu would just love to read this stuff. So I'm going to make sure you get a copy of this presentation, because the implications are just profound, just absolutely profound.
Can I weigh in just a little bit, Stephen?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Klein-Gordon equation, and I just wanted to talk. I've pulled up the significance of it. It was an early attempt to create a wave equation for the electron, but had issues with predicting the hydrogen atom's fine structure because it did not account for the electronic spin or electron spin. So how does that fit into what you're talking about? Because you did mention the Klein-Gordon equation.
How it implicates it is the way the numbers map out on the toroid itself has wave function structure implication. And again, I probably get butchering this to no end, because my level of trying to understand their papers is pretty intense, but it absolutely answers your question. It actually proves that there probably is no such thing as an electron, that it's a wave function, if you will, almost just like the way Dr. Yu's thing in the muon, it actually supports his theories, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
But I'm giving a very, very kindergarten dissertation of how complex this stuff really is. I mean, I'm going to have to go back over it several times, because it's just so mind-boggling what they found. Because the more they asked ChatGPT stuff, the more stuff came out. And we're going, wow, what kind of monster did they unearth here? So it's pretty cool.
Well, I can tell that Dr. Yu and Brian Singh probably have the fill-ins where you might be a little bit vague, because I can see it in their faces.
Well, maybe if I could share my screen. We've got, yes, and I can. On the website of Dan Winter, he's a longtime member of the disclosure community. He does a lot of what's called vortex-based mathematics. Here he's designed, and I've briefly heard him speak about this before, but go to his website, fractalfield.com, and he talks about doing these implosion devices to basically send water through Victor Schauberger type vortexes. And in doing this type of magnetic fractal field expansion, it makes the water become structured water. And then here they've got these tomato shoots or radish bulbs, seedlings and radish bulbs. And it seems like the ones with the structured water are higher in weight and than they would be without the water treated with this fractal super imploder, where they're basically spiraling the water through. And then they're saying, why does it work? What's magnetic and vortex water treatment for agriculture and growth, very high density magnetics combined with a profoundly optimized charging nozzle to produce a growth stimulating and health solution, solubility, hydration effect. And so I've seen, if you go online and you look up structured water, you'll see people with organite, where these tensor rings, and you know that your ring is working because when you put a glass of water over the ring and you freeze it, you're going to see like a spiral emerge. So let me see if I could say frozen structured water. I want to find everyone an image of this using, and there's also people in the audience who can look up slim Sperling tensor rings, because this is all about this vortex based mathematics. So I'm going to have to look this up on Google. Unfortunately, Brave, they track you less apparently, but they're not as powerful as search engine. Here you go. So you'll know your water is structured or not versus, see, when they freeze it, normally it'll look like that. And then with the tensor ring, it'll do this vortex type thing. It changes literally the geometry of the way the water freezes. And if it does that, some of the implications are that the water is charged some way. It helps things grow better. We see a lot of people in the community experimenting with organite technology and cloud busters and things like that. And so they'll have, here's an example of tensor rings in probably it's an epoxy resin, and then you're supposed to just use it as a kind of a cup holder, or a coaster to put your drinks on it. And people who do other experiments will show that like fruit, I believe, if you put it on things like this, it'll last longer. For sure, when you use these pyramids, recently our good friend in the community, Rob Potter, fortunately passed away earlier this year. He used to make these. These are copper or brass pyramids, and when you put a cell phone under them and you bring an EMF meter over, it'll cut it from, like, I forget our reading. It was like 380, whatever the reading was, EMF. I don't know what it was in units, but it took it down to 86, like from 380 down to 86, the noise level. And my one business partner, housemate, who's psychic, telepathic, he's an animal communicator. He literally can communicate psychically, telepathically with their dogs. I gave this to him. I brought it back from, I think it was Contact in the Desert one year, where I bought this from Rob Potter about 2 years ago. And I gave it to him. I said, yeah, Jaden, put this on your head and tell me if you feel any effects, if anything. And he put this on his head. Looks kind of funny, we got a pyramid on your head. He closed his eyes. He said, that's interesting. He said, what's interesting? He said, things got a lot quieter. And other people who I give this to and they put it on, they talk about how it feels quieter and calmer when you put this on. So, this is starting to get into not just the theoretical mathematics and physics of it, but how do we see it manifested here in the real world? If you don't believe me, it sounds funny, just take a copper-shaped pyramid of this geometry and stick it over your fruit and see if it lasts longer than fruit outside of it. And then you get back to me, and you're going to find it does. And you're going to find that it takes the signal noise down. Okay, well, if it's having those real-world effects, what else can we discuss from there?
That shape, doesn't that shape also draw a certain current through it that it picks up from objects when it's set near them or on them? Like when you put it on your head, it'll pick up the vibration that you're giving off and run it through the pyramid?
Yeah, so this is kind of, I think it's getting into, this is known as like a resonator cavity. And for some reason, resonator cavities of this particular geometry, I guess, focus the energy or resonance here towards the point. And then the way that this geometry, the way that they all stack up, multiple of these will then form a cube, of the geometry of this. It's a very natural, sacred geometry. And that's why you're probably seeing the pyramids doing it as well, is by resonating the energy. Apparently, what the pyramids may have been doing with their towers, and still are to some extent, going down into the ground, it's like a resonator with a strong block of a base in water. and as the water goes through, there's a differential, and then that differential gets resonated up from or conducted up from the water and the block up those tubes that they found under the pyramids, where they found like the 8 cylindrical columns reaching like a mile or so down into like a water aquifer. And then it would come up. All that would be then resonating inside the cavity of the pyramids, which are the granite and limestone also gives it a piezoelectric dipole, positive and negative skins. And then apparently there was like a more golden type capstone on top of the pyramids, and then it would then shoot that up and out into the surrounding Earth atmosphere. Yeah.
And how does that fit into the spiral thing?
With the vortex mathematics?
Vortex, yeah.
Yes.
Well, when you look at it, this is a very kind of square shape, and then the vortex is a very spiral shape, and the line and the cube or the dot and the sphere, those are two of the most fundamental shapes or types of sacred geometries are out there. Kind of just think of, so I would say that they're related in that way. There's a lot of interrelations in them, what we find in nature and in math.
I can add to that too. If you look at Marco's book, it's available on Amazon on vortex-based mathematics, because everybody was involved with that helped him, you might say, advance his Mod 9 system. Somebody in his field took the vortex-based mathematics, the Mod 9 system, and mapped out the actual pyramid itself is a Mod 9 equation. And it shows how the vortices form on the outside and the shear, how the Bricklin current, everything, all that stuff is in the pyramid itself. And how coincidental that it's all based on 9, how coincidental 9 is the grand enad in their spiritual system, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. Mod 9 math has some serious implications in geometry and all that kind of stuff. Highly recommend that book because it talks about it.
So what you're saying is one doesn't replace the other. They actually work in synchronicity.
Well,
if this was small enough, this would fit just inside this pyramid shape exactly right. There's a certain symmetry of the way that these shapes line up and interplay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I want to make a comment, see if I get it what you. So this pyramid structure serves two purposes. One, act just like a Faraday cage, blocked external signals from your brain, natural brain. But the second thing I learned new, from Brian, say, hey, this pyramid is self-acting as a resonator, not just shielding outside. That's what June tried to get it, right? When you shield out in random signals, so of course you quiet down, right? So now, and you quiet down, you feel like what is calmer, cooler. So of course you're acting better. But Brian said, it is the shape. Why you have to a conical instead of you have this pyramid instead of other shape, right? It may work as a resonator. Okay, that's very new. So I don't know how much extensive this study they did this. What happens when you have a resonator? So instead of not only pick shielding your outer noise against your own system, and it resonate means magnify your system.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's something I do believe this is a scientific based. It's not what is called a religious or some kind of metaphysics. Okay.
Well, it goes together. They blend together. The transition from physics into spirituality, that the wall begins to disappear as you understand it and it becomes unified. There are people like our friend here. I'll share my screen again. basically Isha Arzlieb, and she speaks also about the implications of this math. And she points out how in the human brain, you get these pyramidal structures at a very small, super small level, but these structures in the brain probably help to magnify thought and current. And then that pyramidal structure is also, again, represented here in, it doesn't have to be a straight pyramid. Also the step pyramids, I'm sure Stephen's friends will find have, the exact same type of, mod 9, maybe mod 7, because it's stepped or something like that, geometries.
Yep.
And then of course this gets into these shapes for resonator cavities, for orgonite, to try to resonate good harmonized electric fields, electromagnetic fields. And then it also, gets into the shape, of the craft, where Bob Lazar was talking about how you'd have the magnetic cavity here, and it's all along the central axis, which would make sense. You could have stable control with these 3 different thrust magnetic vector type things to help direct the craft via the magnetic field, or surfing those types of vehicles seem to propel themselves by. And then of course there was so here she's Isha on her Facebook website here. She's pointing out how this structure, if you see it animated, it kind of morphs in and out of itself. It's like it's from a morphological standpoint, it's like a self-contained tesseract type shape. And it could be considered multi-dimensional, or a projection of a higher dimension down to a lower dimension. Yeah. Let's see. So let me stop my share. Yep.
I want to make another comment. Brian showed structured water. Actually, I met the founder of structured water. That's the called Jared Pollock. You probably know Brian, right? Yeah, he was a presenter at the Tesla conference in the August, 1 day ahead of me. So yes, and he also sees through my presentation. So he's brilliant. Genius. Yeah. And the basic principle, actually, Brian's picture will show. I just want the audience to understand the basic principle. It is so the structured water has to go through magnets. You have to run through magnets, and which is equivalent to you cooling them down. When you're cooling them down, all this water turned to crystal means they are turned to magnetic structure. Magnetism started build up. So that's why they have a structure and has the shape. It's all based on the magnetic connection. So that's one way. If you're cooling down, that's water's random molecules of motion. To the ice, when you're cooling down, everything cool down. And then your magnetic structure started building. Everything through the magnet force working. That's the same thing. When you're very hurry and angry, you cannot thinking well. But you sleep overnight, suddenly all the anchors got lost. You can think very clearly. Because when you're cooling down, all the structures started to follow the logic, follow the harmony with the world. Then you can think of it's the same principle. I hope I say that one. So the so-called structured water, another way, you put the magnets, force the water, random water, force them, realign them to connected parts. Why doing that one? Because it can retaining water long, because all the waters are not the individual molecules. They formed like a structured water, right? That means connected. So that's
why. By being connected now, there could be like an electron flow along that structure, where before, when it was randomness, you didn't have a cohesive circuit.
Yeah. So Brian, the flow I would call this oscillation flow, right? Oscillation. Yeah. Instead of water particle flow. Okay.
And then also, to take this further along the spiritual path, there's a gentleman apparently by the name of his name was Stephen Chua, and apparently he was like a Singaporean military officer. And he was interviewed by Elena Danaan. I don't agree with her on everything. There's lots that I don't agree with her on, but I just want to put that out there. But she was the first to interview him. He seemed very real. He was a super soldier. He was literally, from what we can tell, assassinated about 2 weeks after he appeared on her show. This is about 2.5, 3 years ago now. And he talked about one of his amazing abilities that made him so important to the programs was he was able to enter into a meditative, I don't know if it was like a gamma wave state of concentration and meditation that would enable one to basically generate like an energy wave just by meditating. And also it was because it's such an intense state of concentration that it was also good for flying UFOs and craft. Apparently that's a wave state that you want to be in to become more psychic, to have your higher abilities to be activated. Most people are in like the, I don't know, alpha wave state, I think. But and then you go into delta when you're sleeping, right? Well, he entered into he went past theta and into gamma.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my studies in Taoism, we do a lot of stuff like that, where you actually have a magnetic and life force potential impact on physical reality as we know it. Well, here's something to think about too. In the human condition, there's all our water is energized with that life force, that spirit, if you will. Isn't it interesting that they call blood plasma? It's interesting that they use the term plasma. It's a different state of matter, and it is actually sentient. I'm also involved in a organization called the Strike Foundation, and I don't know if Dr. Yu knows about the thunderstorm generator stuff. I was kind of on the first team to actually build and construct it and demonstrate it at the Tesla Tech convention. It is so amazing because it just takes oxygen and energizes it, if you will, and turns it into pure plasma, throws that in the engine. The engine uses it as fuel, and when it detonates it, the exhaust is oxygen. It was the most profound darn thing I've ever seen. So my job was, because of my technical background in research and development and manufacturing, Marco was instrumental. They say, you need to be at that convention because they need people that are techie like that to help construct the darn thing. So I literally bought the generator and we put it together, and lo and behold, watching this thing do the thing and watching this big plasma flame come out the exhaust, it was so profound. And they put a meter in it, and it was pure oxygen coming out of the motor. So it got so much attention because every day it was broadcasted all over the world. They got the interest of Lawrence Livermore's lab over there, and they sent a scientist with a mass gas spectrometer, hooked that bugger up to it, and it flatlined the thing, and nothing but oxygen was coming out of it. So the engine was literally running on air. Why am I bringing this up? It's all interrelated. This toroidal energy, this plasma exchange, this alternative energy, this relationship of space and counter space and matter and antimatter, if you want to call it that, because we're all dipping into a new technology. I really think physics as we know it is going to be rewritten because of the implications of what we're observing, what we're having as far as these end results, the electrical charges, the levitation, the time-space bending. This is all happening now because we're now understanding this new stuff. It's pretty darn cool. Yeah, I agree with everything I've hearing so far. It's really cool.
I want to make a comment. Brian, you want to go ahead?
No, good, Dr. Yu.
Oh, it's good because Brian just said about the conduction, electron moving in the water, and Stephen made say, "Oh, this is called a plasma of blood," right? I try to make all the concepts connected and see if it makes sense to you, June, and Jen, and Penny. Okay. They are just touching the most important nutrition or the function of water in the body. Most people think about, you need a water like some kind of nutrition function. Actually, that's not the main function. The main function is conducting electrical energy.
Mm-hmm.
So why structured water can conducting electrical energy? Because it's all aligned, magnetically aligned together, form just like a conductor, not random particles. If it's a conductor, it's not a good conductor. It's all formed, aligned, uniformed, aligned conductor. So that's called structured water. So it's not only just holding water together in your body. Easy, the electricity is a vibration. So when you have a structured, your vibration once it can propagate, becomes a conducting wire. That's the most important why we need water, number one. The second thing is why we need structured water. and this conference, I went to this called the Tesla Tech Conference and met this professor, Jared Pollack. Everybody's selling structured water. Some higher, some purified water. They said that this water you drink, keep your longevity, keep you healthy, keep you something. At least 5 or 6 vendors they display.
Mm-hmm.
Apex Water is probably one of them. I see them.
Oh, so you probably know that one. Steven was there, right? The room.
I met him. Mm-hmm.
Full of, you met him. And also on the hallway, right? Lists all the vendors sell special water.
Yep.
Finally, they gave us free. I hope this add some insights to your audience.
Yep.
So
Can I
can
say
share,
Sure, Jen.
Go ahead. No, I don't want to.
so I could share something from a shamanic perspective, and I was taught this years and years and years ago. The reason why water, is all intents and purposes, it's dead. I mean, think about all the water we drink. It's in pipes and it's in the ground. It never sees sunlight. It's going through pipes. It's going through energies and stuff like that. So here's what you do. Make sure it's not plastic. Make sure you have a glass. And in the morning, the first, in Native Indigenous people, it's the first 4 hands, which is basically the first 3 hours or 4 hours of the sunlight. Sunlight at that angle is imbuing life force and energetics that are far beyond, we're still learning what that's all about. But anyway, it will actually change the structure of the water. So you hold this glass up at the sunlight with intention. It's the Emoto thing. You got to remember that water is probably the most pristine thing that can embed memory and information than any other substance. So you sit there and you hold that and you set your intention, good thoughts. And the first thing you do is give back a little bit back to the earth first. Basically, it would be the equivalent to what the Christians call holy water. It's that easy to make. Start drinking that every morning. Give it to your dog, give it to your cat, give it to your plants. It's really neat. It's something I've just like to share. You can actually intend structured water.
Yes, water has memories. You're absolutely right. You don't want to disturbing their original memorized message, if that's a good one. So some water is a better one, so they have to purify or something, and then use a different resonance then to get the good one.
Well, what Steve just explained is why my dog will skip the water in her dog dish and go out and drink in the fountain that sits out in the sun.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The animals know. Animals know.
Yeah, they really do. So when you were discussing, Dr. Yu, about the resonator earlier, I have a question, and I could be totally wrong. I'm trying to latch on. I learned about this toroidal topic in 2012 and forgot a lot of it for about 6-7 years, and I'm just catching back up. But I recently learned in my garden I can use electroculture, where you wrap the copper around wood, sticks, make poles, things of different various strengths. And some people think you should put a crystal on top because it will direct the energy, I've been told. So this summer in my greenhouse, I put copper just wired by itself next to things. I put copper around wood with a crystal I mined in Colorado on it. And then I put copper around wood by itself. And the crystal one grew and produced way more tomatoes than any of the others. But the others all grew more than just the stuff I put out there regularly. So I don't know what the copper has to do with it, or if it's like metal in general. I don't know if the wood has something, and I don't know if my crystal that I didn't just like buy, but I found it in the dirt intentionally. I don't know if that had any difference, but it was huge difference in my garden this year, and it was fun.
In health and in occult, Jen, there are positive metals and there are negative metals. I think things like cadmium and lead are considered negative metals, and then things like copper and brass are among the positive, and silver, gold are among the positive metals. And so, copper, again, getting back to the theme of conductivity, copper and brass are supposed to be very good at having a dielectric and conducting a positive charge.
Okay.
And
So
so
it's the conduction factor with the copper.
that's a big part of it. And then there's things about the molecular structure of things, like, at least in the case of gold. Okay, the orbital structure of gold, I'm told, is it's the Merkaba structure.
Right.
And that would make sense to me, because what is the one metal that doesn't degrade or rot or go bad? It's like love. It's why they symbolize these days, the wedding band with gold, is because that structure remains pure. And I'm told by people that, for people who use meditation techniques, if you meditate and you envision yourself inside of a Merkaba, um, this is like a soul travel vehicle. In the Bible, it's referred to as a wheel of God. And if you envision yourself inside the Merkaba, and the Merkaba is spinning one way, the whole thing around you, then that can symbolize travel. And then if you have the one triangle spinning one way and the other bottom facing triangle spinning the other, that can be used for time travel. And one is going forward in time and one is going like back in time. And then there's all sorts of things that you can spiritually, people who practice these things, they talk about this. I'm not one of the, I'm just sharing with you my knowledge. Did I share my screen at all?
No.
You didn't see the here, hold on a second. Sorry, I thought I chose it. Can you
That's
see
really
this?
interesting.
Can you see this Merkaba gold structure here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
so this is what I'm talking about. So people will envision themselves, meditate, and see their spiritual body within this sacred geometry, the Merkaba. And when they envision the Merkaba spinning around them in one orientation, that can be for travel in one direction or another. If you have the one triangle spinning one way and the other one spinning the other, one is to go forward in time and the other one is to go back in time.
So
And
when
so
they
that's,
say time machine, they're like talking about sitting in the middle of that, and whichever way it's spinning is whichever direction.
well, there are many different types of time machines, I guess I'd say. That would be one. If you were just
Right.
gonna, if we were to say we had all of our spiritual abilities unlocked, or all of our DNA activated, theoretically, we, like the most advanced ETs and then ones who evolved into higher spiritual beings, will be able to use our Merkaba soul vehicle to travel around wherever we want to go. We won't need spaceships.
That's
Just
interesting.
one method to travel. Yeah.
I
That
want to
is
give
fascinating.
Jen. I want to give Jen my take. I never thought about it because you mentioned about the crystal, and actually enlightened me, and know suddenly realize what's the function of crystal plate here. I went to Tesla Tech conference in August. Meet with all these celebrities. These are these are inventors. Include the Jared Pollock. They all, and the one vendor specialized selling a crystal blanket. He told me there's
Right.
16 different type of crystals.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what's the purpose of a crystal at the time, and you just remind me.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the gemstone mats. Because
Right.
in our
Yeah.
Asian and Chinese culture, we have the jade. And so a
Yes,
lot of
Yeah.
they've got
yes.
the jade and amethyst are two of the that they put inside, that they crush, because of that.
Mhm.
You know, each crystal emanates its own type of field, and just like you got the healing metals, like crystals can have their own very healing energies. And then if you've got the different combinations of healing crystal energy,
Oh my goodness!
and then you plug it in, now you're amplifying those crystal healing energies, and you sleep on it. Presumably that's helping your body, all the water in your body, to then absorb these loving, positive healing crystal energies, and that can, help facilitate wellness. Just like if you stick a plant next to a Wi-Fi transmitter, it's going to wilt and die.
Right.
Right.
They
That's
use
negative.
those in the Superman movies. When Superman goes to his home, it's a home of crystals.
Yep.
In a nutshell.
Right. And the one that hurts him is the kryptonite.
Yeah. Because they can hold so much energy and information and preserve it. That's what the crystal is, the highest form of, from mud to rock to crystal of lower level first density.
And Brian, can I weigh into on what you're saying? Because I think, sometimes people think there's a gap between the spiritual and the sciences.
Yeah.
But science knows that we have brain waves, and our brain waves are very small and they have an infinite range. I think that much they're accepting. Well, also, when a singer sings, if they get right on key, they can break a glass. They can break a crystal glass.
Yes. I did experiment for that one. Yeah.
Yes. And so when you think and you've got an infinite range, what Brian is talking about is getting those vibrations on key and focused so that they can hit the target. That's when you get people that can remote view and do these time travel things that you're talking about. But it really all just fits together because it's all vibration. And yes, you do have to have ooans to do that.
Yes. June, you are on exact the point. I try to explain physically about the function of a crystal. Crystal has its own natural resonance frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that resonance frequency, because each crystal have its own resonance frequency, is fixed in crystal structure, right? That healthy, that resonance frequency, exactly what resonant with what June mentioned, a brainwave. So that's a healthy frequency. So that's why resonance in your brainwave. And you said what is a metal structure or resonator? The resonance is a magnified resonance, have an even better function. I hope that this can answer your question about we don't know why it has this effect.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people here are probably familiar with the Monroe Institute. And they worked with the CIA back in like the 70s, maybe the 60s even, to develop remote viewing techniques that the CIA and military later employed. And they do something called hemisync, where what they do is they're hitting your right ear and your left ear with slightly out of phase beep 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 beep. And if the one is beeping at beep 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 beep, then the one is like bup 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 bup. It playing one in one ear and the other, when you enter in a meditative state, it gets your mind to merge the two, which then helps merge your two brain hemispheres. It creates that coherence. So not only are we talking about the concept just vibrating here, but vibrating in a way that is coherent and it's resonant. So there's difference between just screaming or singing and making noise. There's an obvious difference. Like you scream at something loud enough, you'll destroy it and hurt it. If you sing to something beautifully enough, you'll heal it and encourage it to grow.
Yeah. That's like a fact of life in just people auditorily screaming at other people or nurturing them with words. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. So I'd like to give everyone an opportunity to say where they can be found. Brian Singh, where can people find you?
Yeah, in addition to my regular contribution slot here every Thursday on AgentX11, I can be found on my two different websites, fulldisclosure.live and fulldisclosure.network. One is for the live events that we're producing and to get the recordings. And then The other one is a blog that I'm sadly woefully behind on, but we'll be updating soon. And we got some guest contributions coming up from Olivia James, also known as the Gray Mouse, who I believe we've had on this show, right, Penny?
I think so. Yeah, you should bring her back.
Yeah, we should bring her back. And I can also be found on Facebook. Feel free to contact me directly. Just plug in my name there, Brian Sang, and add my nickname Solar Bee, and reach out to me directly. But mostly, if it's related to organizing the full disclosure movement, if you just want to say hi and you're a fan, that's cool. But I like to keep it goal oriented.
Excellent. Yeah. And also, anybody that's here in this room, if you'd like to get in touch with them, you can always text my phone at 619-779-9771. I'll make sure they get the message. Steven Sanchez, where can people find you?
Again, I just use my email, the number 1 and the word goldentiger@gmail.com until I get my website up, which is backward engineering, but I haven't put it together yet. So, yeah.
Okay. And I'm just so thankful for all of you. This is a dynamic group that we have here. Dr. Weeping, where can people find you?
Okay, since I'm still working at NAS, I do not have my own website. However, all the videos related to my talk or something, you can find from X platform. That's at real DRYU at real Dr. U. Yeah.
Nice. And Jen, at the Nerd in Charge, where can people find you?
Oh, that's a good way.
I'm on X right there. So the Nerd in Charge, just posting all kinds of crap all the time. I'm so excited about this. Thank you guys for talking. I feel like we should talk about this for like 7 more hours to get Steven's input.
Right.
It's a big topic.
Yeah.
And you can also find Jen on the Awake Nation News. She will be a regular on AgentX11, and also she's co-hosting Awake Nation, as well as Joan Renee. Joan Renee, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me here on AgentX11. You can find me on the Awake Nation on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you can also find me on X, Joan Renee 27. And this has been fascinating. So thank you. Thank you, Stephen, for bringing it up and all the contributions. It's fascinating.
Yeah, the thing is, and Dr. Yu knows this to be true, we've just scratched the surface. This stuff is so big. It's so big.
Also, I love you guys because every time you come on, it's something, just groundbreaking. And I think the three of you, Stephen, Dr. Yu, and Brian Singh, a dynamic pair, trio, I guess, the three compadres. Yeah. My name is Penny Shepard. You can find me on X at Shepard Out. You can also find me on the Awake Nation. The Awake Nation News is 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Time on the David Zublik channel, followed by the Awake Nation with David Zublik. And we do 4 30-minute interviews, and that's from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we're adding new things all the time, so just beware. Dr. Yu's Universe is here every other Thursday, and Brian Singh Presents is in the other segment. He's holding the crystal. He's going to try to crystallize you. Anyway, thank you so very much for joining us, and we're out of time. So we are out of here. Shepard out.
Renee out.
Stephen out.
Dr. Yu out.
Solar Bee out.
And the Nerd in Charge is out. Goodbye for today from Agent X11, Hollywood Dark Journalist. We post new episodes daily. Check out our true crime episodes Wednesdays and Fridays.
forget to watch our main show, David Zubik's Awake Nation, on the David Zubik channel on Rumble, live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern.